Hello guys, welcome to today's video. So we're going to be talking about what we have seen over this weekend, but also
Yeah.
most importantly, what we're going to be looking out for this week. Now, I'm going to jump straight into this and just kind of give you a little bit of a visual of what it is that I have been looking at. First things first, guys, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that bell notification to make sure that you are notified whenever we go live, because often we do, a little bit of chart, a little bit of TA, and that kind of gives us a nice way to make some money, which you guys have seen before with AJ. So thank you very much. Overall, guys, not really too much happening. We have, kind of basically just dropped below that 20K support. It was not like a major support level, and AJ will go through exactly where those are in a couple of minutes, but it's more of that mental level of support. As a person, or as people in general, we quite like these round numbers, so we do see these as kind of like, levels of support. And also we see, because of the Ethereum merge and Cardano, the Vassal hard fork coming up, these guys, these have been pumping. Basically, everyone's a little bit excited. And I think I'm going to do a full video on Cardano coming up in the next few days. But we can see that everyone is kind of buying the rumor and going to then sell the news. Just to quickly get into it, what we're looking at here is last week we had a lot of money moving out of crypto. So we see this 11.1 million out of Bitcoin, 2.1 out of Ethereum, again by the rumor, sell the news. And then we see shorting Bitcoin, a lot of interest shorting Bitcoin, unfortunately. And then everything else just, kind of like neither here nor there, nothing to write home about, nothing to get excited about. But basically, we're kind of looking at a bit of negative interest in different, basically just across all the markets. And I think it's because, what we're seeing
Just to add
here.
on to that quickly, Ben, and
Yeah.
that lines up with what we are talking about with the DXY. When the DXY is going up, which it is doing at this moment in time, and I will show you that in a moment, we do see people pull their money out of those riskier assets, and we are just. You can see it by that chart there that Ben has on the screen. It clearly shows that this happens, and I've showed you this before as well. So this is very, very important, this DXY chart that we are looking at, and it is at a crucial stage.
Yeah, it is, and that's exactly it. It's that, when you do think about it, like we definitely go through these like, I guess I want to say routines, but maybe probably cycles is a better way to put it. We do go through these cycles where we end up seeing, as Bitcoin does dump, we begin to see the DXY pump, because it's that risk on versus risk off mindset, I think is a good way to call it. But anyway, just to kind of continue moving on here, what's going on in the stock market? This is kind of what's happening. There's a market wrap from Bloomberg. It's not going to go into everything. Obviously, everyone's worried about natural gas. So Russia has shut off all supply for basically indefinitely, is what they've said. So there's no natural gas now coming into Europe, which means obviously Europe at the moment, they're going to need some when it gets cold. And, as me and AJ can tell you, it gets bloody cold. They're going to need natural gas in order to, support just the heating of the houses, but also, loads of companies, etc., etc. So everyone's kind of worried about this. And so European
The
stocks.
Germans were laughing about it as well when what Donald Trump was. Donald Trump predicted this actually, and the Germans were laughing at him. And
And now they're sitting here and they're like, "Oh, guys, let's not be too harsh on Russia," And everyone's trying to put sanctions, etc., on Russia, and they're like, "Well, let's be a little bit." It's like, well, okay, because you're the biggest economy, and most of your economy relies on Russian gas. So of course you're going to be like, "Oh, let's just be a little bit, a little bit nicer." But as you can see here, the dollar strengthened as commodity-linked currencies joined the euro's retreat to a 2-decade low. So the pound obviously is kind of messed up. One, because of those links with Europe, but also secondly, the leadership question that kind of came into it. And now also, we see with Europe a lot of uncertainty, especially recently. We've seen their GDP come out. We've seen, all these different things. But the bottom line is we're seeing that the DXY is in fact climbing. And like I said, we'll look into that more technically. But basically, Bitcoin is kind of falling down. And overall, we are seeing that, basically, any assets that's not the DXY pretty
The
much
last
moving.
time the DXY was this high was actually the 27th of May 2002. So we
Yeah,
haven't been at this.
2002.
Yeah, a very, very long
Absolutely
time.
insane. It's absolutely insane. 2002. And so obviously that again, guys, what happened in the in the early 2000s? We had the crash of the dot-com bubble. So obviously the dot-com bubble left a lot of people moving out of risky assets such as tech stocks. So as they all dropped, everyone was like, right, okay, well, let's buy some DXY, let's buy some treasury bonds, whatever it might be. This is not what I wanted to show you, actually. What I did want to show you was, let me see if we can have it, the Fed rate monitor. So like I said, guys, I think it was on Saturday, I went through and I said, look, this started to drop down. I think we're going to see a 75 basis point hike. This is what everyone is anticipating. And obviously we can bring this up closer to the time, but we've got 2 weeks until this comes. So everyone is beginning to price that in, and just sticking to the whole Russia theme. Because of all of the sanctions, etc., they're now looking at different ways to essentially shun the US. So instead of having everything, priced in US dollars as it's the global reserve currency, they're looking to now legalize crypto for cross-border payments. So you can see that they are looking to do this now. But previously, they were massively against it, as you see in this little quote here. And the Bank of Russian governor also later suggested that crypto can be used for cross-border payments. This, I think, is just a massive move towards not needing to have like the US dollar as the currency. So if I want to send some money, let's say to AJ, I will probably transfer my AED, Arab Emirate dirhams, into dollars, and then it's quite easy to then transfer the dollars into pounds, because the dollar is the world reserve currency. But this is why now China and Russia, etc., are all looking to use crypto. So it could be very, very good for crypto adoption, but might be bad if the US comes in to try and, heavily regulate crypto, shall we say. So this is one thing, there are two different ways in which this can go. Just wanted to bring this to your attention. This could be really, really bad for crypto if the US and Europe and the Western world come to get together in order to regulate the use of crypto by essentially their enemies, for lack of a better word, from cross-border payments. But that's everything from me. I'll quickly go through some of the comments here, if we have any. Nice bearish divergence on the DXY. We'll have a quick look at that, will we, AJ?
Yeah, we'll have a look at that. And make sure you smash a like on this video as well if you are enjoying this content. It does really help us out, and we do really appreciate it as well.
There we go. Yeah. Also, one thing that I know you mentioned before, AJ, and you mentioned quite often, actually, which is good, is Bitcoin also looked pretty bullish at the top. It did look bullish at the top.
It did in ways. Yeah. What I was looking at the top for Bitcoin was actually we saw a massive bearish divergence. So for me, I didn't think we were bullish. Yes, there were some bullish signs, fundamentally, as well as there's so much adoption. But for me,
I think it's also the people, like we've said before, it's the people who think that Bitcoin looks very bullish at the top and bearish, at the bottom, because people don't like to think of a change in direction, do they?
No, they don't at all. But looking at the charts wise, when I was looking at it back in 2021, just showing you this chart here, we can see a massive bearish divergence. So we got price action towards the upside here, and then momentum towards the downside on the RSI. That was a good enough signal for me to say that we were at least a local top, and we were going to have a pretty substantial pullback back down to 30K. But yeah, that's what I was looking at that moment in time. But what we're looking at now is sort of the opposite. We are at the bottom. We are coming to the bottom of that bear market. I do think, and maybe this last leg down to 12,000 is where we can establish that bottom vicinity. Obviously, I remember someone yesterday mentioned that CVDD. That's obviously going to act as support as well, which is sat at around $15,600. But like I said yesterday, that is a moving average, so it can be broken. It's never been broken before, but it can actually be broken towards the downside, which would be bearish and would sort of confirm that 12,000 even more for me. So yeah, $15,600. That is going to be a level of support as well. But looking at this DXY, we're continuing to respect this resistance here very, very well. So you can see resistance before we broke above it right here. Then we used it as perfect support. You can see we closed this this 12-hour candle here, literally on that previous resistance now support level. We've got that bounce and we are seeing it come up to 110. And of course, this is not good for the crypto market. We know I've showed you before, 14th of July to the 11th of August, we saw the DXY come down. What we saw for Bitcoin was actually the price of Bitcoin come up, as you can see right here. And then from the 11th of August, Bitcoin went down. And what happened to the DXY? Well, the DXY went up from the 11th of August. So what we can see here is very, very clearly that when the DXY goes down, we see Bitcoin go up. But when the DXY goes up, we see Bitcoin come down. And because the DXY is continuing to increase, it's broken resistance, held it as support, and is continuing to increase, we are most likely going to see the price of Bitcoin come down. Looking at it here, we do have that falling wedge pattern, and that did break towards the upside, but as of right now, it isn't looking too good because that DXY is still increasing in price. Here, 19,000. If we come down to 19,000, that is a very, very critical level for Bitcoin. I've mentioned this multiple times. If we break below it, then that $12,000 target from this bearish flag here is in play. And that will happen if the DXY continues to increase. If we see the DXY come up to 112, then I think Bitcoin will have broken 19,000. And then if we break above 112, the next level we're looking at is 120. That's the next resistance level that is coming in, and that would be that next target. And I do think if we come up to 120, then Bitcoin could be down at that $12,000 level. But right now, we just are waiting to see what happens with the DXY. If it continues up to the 112 level, I do anticipate that Bitcoin will have broken this support level here, breaking that support level, sort of confirming that $12,000 target as well. Because you can see we've had this bearish flag here, and we had the support on the resistance as well, which aren't shown on this chart for some reason. But we did actually break this previously back here. There was that level of support on the RSI here that broke as well towards the downside. We had another example of it here. We have the bearish flag, then we have this support that was broken on the RSI, and we got that leg down again. And that's exactly what's happened here. We had that support break on the RSI right there. Then we got the RSI come down. Then we got that confirmed break of the bearish flag. So looking at it here, it's happened twice before, and the price targets have been hit. They have been met. So looking at this, it looks like 12,000 is pretty realistic. And if we break 19,000, then I most definitely think that is a very, very realistic target. Looking at this, I've showed you this before, very simple TA, but once we break a support level, we come back down to the next support level. Once we break a resistance level, as right here, well, that's support, which is now resistance, but once we held support at the support, we came right back up to, price discovery here, establish a top, got rejected there, came straight back down to support, found support there, came up to resistance, and the same story, break the support here, you come down to another support level. So what I'm looking at is that if we break $19,000, the next logical target is that $12,000 range, because there's no support or resistance between that $12,000 and that $19,000 level. As you can see, when we broke above that $12,000 level, we came straight up to 19,000. And again here, once we broke that $12,000, we came straight up to 19, 20,000, and then got a rejection from that level and came straight back down. There was no sort of silly business in the middle. It was just straight up, straight down, here, straight up. So I do think if we break 19,000, it is going to be a straight move down to 12,000 with no silly business in the middle at all. Looking at the S&P 500 as well, that's at a very, very critical level. I showed you this multiple times as well. We've been rejected from that 200 MA. We've broken that support. This is looking very similar, very almost identical to the 2008 stock market crash. And what is holding the price up right now is this daily level here. As you can see, previous resistance, support here, and support back there as well. This is what's holding it up. But if we do break this, I do think we can see another big leg down for for the stock market for the S&P 500, and I think it will take us down below 3,656 dollars. That'll be my next target. But if we break that, then I think we can see an even bigger leg towards the downside, because what we can actually see here is we have the high, lower high, another lower high. Then you have the low. You've got these lower lows here as well, and it would form a lower low, which would give us that bigger leg towards the downside. And of course, traditional market, the crypto market, sorry, follows the traditional market very, very well. And
Amen.
sorry.
Amen.
Yeah, yeah. So we would most likely see Bitcoin have that big leg down as well. So as of right now, we are still unsure if we are going to go down to 12,000. As I said, 19,000. If we can hold that, great. But if we can't hold that, then 12,000. There's nothing really to say other than that, because that is literally what we are waiting for. We are waiting for that price to either bounce off this $19,000 level or break this $19,000 level. For me, I don't know about you, Ben, but for me, I do think that we are swaying more towards the bearish side of things, just because the DXY is continuing to increase. I don't know what your opinion on that is.
I'm like the Revenant at this point. You know, the Leonardo DiCaprio one, the one where he's like, he's fighting that big bear. I am that bear right now. I literally am that bear. I'm like, it's really bad. I just don't see too many scenarios in which, we can see. Well, I see more scenarios in which we're bearish than in which we are bullish, which is, it's not good. I also posted something on Twitter the other day. Make sure you follow us. And I was like, it just annoys me that like people just out of nowhere, what they'll do is they'll take this chart, AJ, and then they just draw like a big line upwards. And it just like, goes up to 100K or something ridiculous. They just draw a line upwards. They're like, that's my TA done. I'm like, you're not taking into account anything, There has to be much more research. You can't just draw a line to 100K and be like, yeah, sweet. But there's just so much like clickbait, and I think it's more important to kind of be honest and as well researched as possible. But unfortunately, it does look like we are going to be looking, a little bit like we're investigating that 12K is probably more likely than us getting to that 30K, type level. But I mean, look, hopefully we will form a bit of a double bottom here. This local double bottom at that 19K level. I want that to happen, like a W pattern, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. That's a very, very realistic thing that could play out. Scenario that could play out. So we could get that double bottom W pattern, which could take us back up to 25,000, and then that will be another decision stage whether we get rejected back down to 19,000, or if we break above that, and then the next levels we're looking at 32,000. So that's a scenario that could play out as well, but that's not going to play out if the DXY continues to increase. We need that DXY to come down, back down to like 104. For the crypto market to have that nice pump towards the upside. I would think back to 25,000. So yeah, it's not looking too good if we are continuing to see the DXY pump.
Yeah, which, it is looking that way, especially if we look at what we have going on for next week. I mean, there's not like a whole lot. I know I went through this earlier on in the week with you guys. Like end of last week. End of last week, basically. And so what I was showing was basically, like it's not really going to change us too much, but it really affect the stock market. Here I am. Okay, so 6th, which is tomorrow. This might, again, if there's uncertainty in euros, why are you holding euros? Surely you're just going to buy some dollars. There's no big news. Dollar's going to be relatively stable. Seems to be climbing. So just move your euros into dollars, which I think most big investors will do, because you don't want to get caught in, this. If GDP comes out to be lower, obviously the euro is going to drop. And then again, the ECB interest rate decision, the press conference, a lot of uncertainty. So I think we're just going to have more people moving into dollars, or maybe we'll take pound. That's a strong currency. Well, you got the GDP coming out. So you're probably not going to hold it. So this is what I'm saying is like, I think this week we'll probably continue to see the DXY go up, and then therefore Bitcoin, other assets come down. But the week after that, I think we'll, probably because there's so much data from the US coming out in the next couple of weeks. I think that's going to be quite telling as to what's going to happen. But yeah, this week I don't feel very bullish. You can give me 10 Red Bulls and I'll still probably be a bit bearish.
Yeah, and we don't like to talk about the bearish scenarios. And I know someone was in the comments before, and they said stop talking about all these bearish scenarios. You're making me upset. But the reality of it is that it is a very, very likely scenario, and I'd rather tell you them than not tell you them. That's our job. That's our job to sort of predict where the market is going, and it's swaying towards the bearish scenario right now. I've showed you it multiple times. If the DXY is going down, Bitcoin is going up. But if the DXY is pumping like it is now, Bitcoin is going down. It's just very, very simple. And yeah, a lot of people don't get it. A lot of people.
Do you know what? I think though, like I feel as though we're doing some kind of like public service, because there's so many like YouTubers out there that just won't tell the truth. Because to be honest, you don't, I don't, any of the viewers here probably don't want to hear us saying that your precious asset is going to go down in price. No one wants to hear it, so it's not very good clickbait. So I think that's why people, swerve away from it. But
and I mean,
we just
love the price
end
to
up
go
with
up.
people like this.
Yeah, I want my mummy. Yeah. We want the price to go up. We want our portfolios to increase in price, but right now it's just not what is happening, unfortunately. But bear markets, I think, are where the millionaires are actually made. They're not made in the bear market, but they are sort of building their portfolios up in the bear market. And then when the bull market comes around, that's where all the millionaires come out. But they are actually made in the bear markets because you're accumulating as much as possible, as cheap as possible. And that's all we can do right now. And I think dollar cost averaging is the best strategy to have.
Just a quick question here. Oh, wait. There's loads. That 3 came in at the same time. Lol, cries in poor. That's like you can't even afford tears. You've got dust coming out your eyes. What's that thing? It's like Wheezy in Toy Story. I think it was Toy Story 1. The penguin or something, the one who's on the shelf, but like right at the back.
Yes.
And he comes out and he's like,
coughing
got
dust.
like bare dust. Yeah, that's essentially how I cry when I'm poor. Wasif, I'm up 300% in Luna Classic. Would it drop if Bitcoin starts to drop? To be honest, mate, I don't think the two assets are massively correlated because of what happened with Luna. And it's such a small market cap. All it takes is just one person to kind of buy, a large amount, and it could push the price up. But obviously, with it being a crypto, it is probably still linked to a certain degree with Bitcoin. Yeah. So, if people are moving out of Bitcoin, we will probably see the price of Luna Classic come down.
I reckon there's a lot of manipulation going on there as well. So.
Oh yeah. And again, it comes down to that. It's such a small market, like nobody's buying it pretty much. So it's quite easy to manipulate, So like if I've got, I don't know, like if I've got £1,000 and you give me £100, which £100 is not that much, I'm still up by 10%, But if I've got £100 million, you give me £100, it's not really going to change the value of my portfolio. So it's not going to jump by any significant percentage. So yeah, just keep that in mind. But yes, they are linked.
What if Bitcoin bounces from here? That is we talked about this. That's a potential scenario. If I just share my screen quick, we could get that double bottom W pattern. For me, for me to sort of be confirmed that I think that is going to happen, I want to see a nice green candle break above this support level, which would sort of confirm that bounce for me. And I would like to see the DXY come down. Those are the two. Those are two things I would like to see to have a potential bounce. But right now, we are not seeing that. We're seeing the DXY, this one here, the DXY go up, and we are seeing Bitcoin come down, and we are still within this support level here. So it's not looking likely for me as of yet.
Yeah. And that's the thing, you know, it could happen. It could happen, you know, and
Yeah,
obviously we'd be watching, but you know, right now, looking at the likelihood, you know, we're probably at a 70-30. Would you say 70-30? 70 bearish, 30 bullish?
yeah. If we were to do it
Like that?
percentage-wise, probably 70-30. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, something like that. So yeah, so basically, not looking great.
No, but yeah, it is a
Life is bad.
possibility. But right now, it doesn't look good. DXYs continues to go up, so yeah, very, very bearish, and the S&P as well as at a critical daily level. If it breaks below that, then I think we are going to get another lower low below $3,650 approximately, which obviously crypto market will follow that as well because it does follow the traditional markets quite well.
Yeah, and also, so guys, I think if you guys remember, I previously mentioned that in order to accumulate as much Bitcoin as possible at these low prices, what I will be doing is, you know, selling parts of my body. So if anyone's interested in a kidney, a liver, might not be too good. You know, I can probably do without a heart. Happy to take some Bitcoin. I think it's a great bargain, you know. So
Yeah,
if anyone has any black market contacts, hit me up. Is
I won't
anything
be
to
doing
accumulate more
that.
Bitcoin? I don't want your body parts, mate. I've seen you without a t-shirt on. It doesn't look good.
I'll buy a body pass and just taunt you with them on the
Yeah, yeah,
stream.
yeah. You look at this. You look at this.
Yeah.
Anyway, weird joke. So we will probably end it there. But
Yeah,
yeah, guys, it's just a really good time to be accumulating Bitcoin. I think, you know, focusing on any ways you can have as much cash as possible, I think is really good. And then obviously where we do right now, we're kind of uncertain as to where we're going. But when we have these big drops where we will see like a nice rebound from, that's where, you know, we want to have those orders placed and we can begin buying at these lower levels and obviously
yeah,
then see ourselves rise to the top.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, guys, and make sure you smash a like on this video. We do really appreciate it, and it does really help us out. And if you are new to the channel, subscribe, turn that bell notification on, and we'll see you in the next live. Thank you very much for watching.
Take care, guys.